Today's episode is going to be taking a look at what if the continent of Africa, that is, of course, this continent right here, got its revenge on Europe, this continent over here. So, as I'm sure you're all aware, most, if not all, of the countries down here were at some point colonized by Europe, mostly France, UK, Germany, Spain, and Portugal. So we're going to be seeing what would happen if these countries were to have wanted to get their revenge for all the terribly nasty stuff these European countries did. And so this video is going to start over here in Morocco. So if you didn't know, this land right here is Western Sahara. It's a country, it formerly was a Spanish colony that Spain granted independence, and then Morocco believed that it should control Western Sahara. So there's a lot of tension going on over here right now, and that's where this video is going to start. So, of course, as the name suggests, Western Sahara is in the west of the Sahara, so it doesn't have much resources to its advantage. And so, knowing this, Morocco is going to take its opportunity to fully seize this territory and just put it to rest of who owns it. So, of course, the Morocco military is going to easily be able to get into Western Sahara. They're really going to be focusing much on the coastal area because that's where all the important stuff are. So that's what they're going to do as they slowly make their way down. They cut off this square area that really doesn't have much, and of course, it's going to go ahead and surrender over to the Moroccans. So, seeing this, Spain over here is going to decide that they should maybe give some aid to the Western Saharaners. And so, with this aid, the Western Sahara military will be able to fight back a little bit better and even push back the Moroccan force. Morocco was pushed back slightly, but not too much, and the front line stands still for a little while. Morocco, seeing what could potentially happen here, is going to call upon a friend of theirs, Algeria, to go and help them. With the combined efforts of these two countries, they're going to easily be able to push back the Western Saharaners, even with the Spanish technology. So their plan is going to keep on happening as they go down the coast. Eventually, the entire coast is captured, and Western Sahara is just going to completely surrender. We see Western Sahara just completely going over to Morocco, and Algeria gets a little bit of port access for their help. But this is really how the video is going to start. So Morocco is pretty angry at Spain for what it did helping the Western Saharans. And so they finally had enough with the Europeans meddling in their business. So they're going to form a coalition that is titled the Anti-European Influence Pact. So this pact is, or coalition is going to, of course, include Morocco. It's going to have Algeria. It's going to have Mali in it, and Mauritania. And I want to be clear in this video, NATO does not exist. And also the tensions, I know these countries won't really mesh well together, so the tensions between these countries won't really be there. It'll be um, lessened, so that way they can work together easier. So besides these countries, there's also going to be Niger, Libya, and Tunisia that joins. So by now, this is already a ton of countries that have joined, and soon more may come. So, seeing this, Europe is going to be a little bit terrified. Might be thinking that perhaps that these countries could be onto something that won't really end well for them. But at first, they're just going to brush past it. So these countries here, the purple team, they're going to be kind of join us or else, and so they're going to come in to these smaller Western African countries over here and ask them to join them because having this long coastline will be very beneficial. So first, we do see Nigeria joining, which is a big boost, but these smaller countries here, they aren't they aren't really wanting to join that well. So they're gonna go ahead and invade them. So these smaller countries, they won't really stand that much of a chance. So it'd just be easier if Yeah. All right. So these countries are now in this pact, and so it's looking pretty good. So they're gonna get their first target since they have quite a bit of power here that can help them. So they're gonna go ahead and go after Portugal. So Portugal is a small country, mostly coastline. So it will be pretty easy for the purple team to make a landing, and of which they do. Successfully on the southern coast, they establish a beachfront and slowly move up the country. So, as we all know in real life, Portugal has their close friend, the UK, but this alliance isn't going to be carrying over to here. So, Portugal is pretty much all on their own. So, we see this, and the purple team just keeps going up, fighting their way through the Portuguese military and curve along its coast to cut off that access to the ocean. They keep on going up right along the border of Spain and are capturing every single city they go upon. Portugal isn't standing much of a chance, and of course Lisbon falls, and the rest of the country will just capitulate. So now Africa has pulled an Uno reverse card and has its own colony in Europe. So the rest of the European countries aren't that worried. It's like, what are these guys going to be able to do against France, or the UK? That's like super powerful. They don't stand a chance. And you may think that they don't, but they do now when they get Egypt on their team. That is a huge power boost, and things are going to start to heat up. From here, we see Spain getting attacked. So from the purple teams holding Portugal, they just come out, and also from they come out and around from Portugal and just make a long line in. So of course, right here, this area is Gibraltar, which is controlled by the British, but it's not here on the map. So I'm just gonna give it to Spain. So they're gonna make a landing from Morocco into Gibraltar that is controlled by Spain. So the army is going to keep on pushing forward with their newfound power from Egypt, as well as their other mites such as Nigeria, and they're going to be able to keep on going through. But the Spanish, they aren't going to be giving up without a fight. They're going to sail down to Algeria and take out the town of Algiers, and are going to move along its coast to block it from getting to Spain. They're also going to do similar stuff to Morocco and land right here to try to take out port cities. So, of course, this is going to hinder the purple team's performance, which will allow Spain to push them back just a little bit. Purple team from Portugal decides to go up and just to make a long line and make its way across and move on to Greater Spain as they're making their approach to Madrid. A huge line of purple continues to move and is ready to take control of all of Spain's cities, but are halted once again as the blue in Algeria is expanded. Algeria won't be contributing as much as they're going to have to deal with this problem over here, but with aid from their fellow friends, they are going to be able to push back and sever this in half. The Morocco front, though, continues to expand, but they too are able to get help and are successfully able to push them back. But purple teams decides they need to go for a big spearhead, of which they do, and make their way to Madrid. Along the way, they're going to try to capture other important cities by making more spearheads that come out. Eventually, these two try to connect, and at a key battle, they eventually do and create a huge encirclement. This is going to be a big defeat to Spain, which is then kicked completely out of Africa, and so all of its forces are focused on defending the homeland. South side of Spain is completely captured as it moves up, and the purple team is looking pretty good. They continue their movements up, capturing key cities, and eventually Spain has not much of a choice and eventually must surrender. Just like Portugal, Africa is not taking any prisoners and just completely colonizes the place. So by now, Europe is getting a little worried at this, and so they make their own defensive pact consisting of Germany, Italy, and France. So this causes a big problem. First of all, it's these powerful countries that have united, and second of all, this blocks purple team's advance from Spain and also a big person in the Mediterranean that can really affect these countries. Purple team is worried about this, but not too much because there's plenty of other fish in the sea, and this new fish that they find goes by the name of cypress, which is quickly captured. They then seek to expand down here and Chad, as well as Ethiopia and Sudan, and also South Sudan. I know these two aren't going to be joining together, but the tension is not as bad, so that way Africa can unite. And also, Cameroon is going to join on the fun. So, Africa is expanding in Africa as well as in Europe, and they launch their next campaign against Greece. They quickly capture this island here and establish a front from there, capturing other Greek islands as they move up to the mainland. The Greek army, though it is powerful, isn't powerful enough to stop this entire force, and soon enough, this one over here is captured, and they move on to the one with Athens. Athens is quickly captured as Purple Team makes quick work of the rest of Greece, and it has no choice but to surrender. So from here, they can easily go up through the Balkans. So that is just what they do. They go through North Macedonia. They enjoy their time in Serbia, also Kosovo, Albania, Montenegro, Bosnia, and Croatia. Hold on a second. What's this? Blue team has expanded, and in an aim to cut off the purple team, they successfully do so. Bulgaria here also attempts to join, but it's a little too late for them, and purple team moves in to capture it. So by now, blue team is for sure attempting to block off the purple team, and so now these two major rivals have formed. So purple team is going to respond by doing anything they can to get into Europe and pulling a sneaky little trick going up the Adriatic Sea. They come over here and take over Slovenia, of which they do and are successfully in Central Europe. They move into Austria and easily take over the southern part of it. And seeing this, blue team realizes that they must do similar stuff and send in their forces. They create an arching movement to block off the purple team, so that way if the purple team attacks them, there's a war, and of course purple team probably won't attack them. And so from this, blue team is able to take northern Austria, but not if purple team has anything to say, as they curve up around and eventually meet the blue team. They split Austria perfectly through the half, and now each team is kind of happy as they both were able to get land, but purple team is very scarily close. They once again have a friendly race for the Czech Republic as German and Italian forces come in from the west, and the purple team just erects straight out from the middle portion and goes on through to the west. Now, of course, these two forces are going to meet but not fight, as purple team is able to successfully claim the rest of the Czech Republic. Poland, not liking what it sees, decides to join in, and so now everything's getting far worse. But purple team has had a big member join, quite literally and metaphorically. Democratic Republic of the Congo has joined, as well as Angola and South Africa. It's getting bigger, better, stronger, more power, and Africa is looking like it might be able to exact its perfect revenge on Europe. Slovakia is briskly invaded by the purple team. The blue team does launch a campaign straight through the middle, but isn't fast enough as purple team decides to create a spearhead and sneak straight through and capture the rest of Slovakia. So by now, Europe is looking like quite the mess, but it might be fixed sooner or later. And Purple team decides to just keep on rolling through. And what better place to roll on through than in Denmark? Purple team is able to successfully make landings on the northern part and also just completely take out Copenhagen as they move down the main part of Denmark. They sweep down and eventually meet the German border, where now they successfully control all of Denmark. Also in the Benelux, they decide to make moves as they land in the Netherlands, as well as Belgium. They successfully move forward, but unfortunately, France and Germany both have something to say about that and successfully block them off on both sides. Purple team is trapped there and can't really go anywhere else, so the blue team just occupies the coast to make sure that no funny business happens. And so now they go after a much more bigger and ambitious person, which is the UK. So blue team has been looking to expand, of course, and wants to include the UK, but UK doesn't decide to have none of it. So in preparation for the invasion, purple team takes out Iceland and is ready for the UK. They start their invasion through Ireland and are able to successfully capture, or Northern Ireland, they're able to successfully capture it and move on to the UK itself. They make a successful landing down in Plymouth as well as in Wales over here. Scotland does have a successful beachfront, though it is slightly hard. Purple team continues to advance, but is eventually halted by the UK and their superior technology, but other fronts still continue to go through. The north is completely captured as they push down and continue through the UK, as another beachfront has been opened up. UK is flanked from the other side as Purple Team attempts to make a move onto London, but are held just out the city. More and more fronts are opened up as Purple Team has like billions of, like, or maybe like 1 billion people, maybe. They have a ton of people, so they're able to like do a lot. And a lot they do as they continue to push in. Their work is slow, but it is successful. And hey, while you're at it, might as well invade Ireland, of which they do and are moving down. And so this is something that we have never seen and probably will never see. The Irish are going to begin to work with the UK, but it doesn't last long. The UK continues to be pushed back as the city of Plymouth is just completely captured and London is moved upon. Southern UK is just completely gone as they move up and around through the countryside. The coast is slowly captured, and so the fate for the UK is pretty much sealed as Purple Team comes in from the north. Purple Team is crashing down from everywhere, and eventually the UK has no choice but to surrender. Blue Team is, of course, watching this all unfold in horror, and they decide that it's actually time to do something, of which they do. Blue Team troops move into Austria, Slovakia, as well as the Czech Republic, and with their superior technology and being close to homeland, they're able to completely wipe Blue Team out of these places. But they hold on in the Balkans as well as in Slovenia. And so the war is on. Purple team pushes through Croatia to hopefully meet up with the Balkans, of which they do split the country in half, and of course take over both sides. Over here in the west, Purple team moves up into France to capture its important cities along the border, but are briefly halted. Blue team starts landing in Tunisia and is able to take the capital, which is Tunis, and they also start in Algeria. So Purple Team has two main goals. Of course, to capture the islands over here, as that is important, as well as really hit France hard, so that way Blue Team will be focused over here and not down here. Purple Team makes many attempts at taking Sicily, but ultimately fail every time, so they opt for just going through mountains, of which they successfully breach Italy, but are briefly stopped. Blue troops pour into Slovenia and are able to take much of the country. they go into Croatia to hopefully liberate it, as they also start their advancements into Bosnia. From Romania, Bulgaria is liberated as blue troops attempt to break through the purple ones. With big contributors from like Poland, Germany, France, and UK, blue team is able to do quite a lot of damage to purple team and are able to kick them completely out of Denmark. The Benelux is also freed from the purple team, and the purple team begins to be pushed back over in Spain and France area. The front line in Tunisia grows as it is pushed down and in, as well as the one in Algeria, and Algiers is successfully captured. Seeing this, the purple team is thinking, we need to get out of this war right now. And so they attempt to make a plan so that way there's a good peace treaty. They're gonna take as much land as they can so that way maybe nothing bad will happen. So that's what they do with not so careful planning or anything. They send their people into France and they just make a beeline to Paris. They're going so fast. And also from the UK, they make landings in Calais and are moving on to Paris. So the blue team is fighting hard with much more logic, of course, but the purple team's using their vast amount of troops to just ram straight through them and are using straight up Ulysses S. Grant tactics. But if it works, it works, and they just continue to go up and move to Paris, as well as they take out many important cities and coastlines. But of course, this steam doesn't last long, as they are halted, cut off, and captured. Purple team makes advancements in the Balkans at least though, and regain Croatia as well as Slovenia and push into Austria. Their advancements in Italy continue as they keep on going through the northern part of it, as well as decide to just go through Austria and take off this part over here. From there, they make just a super small indent in Germany, but of course they're going to be halted. Bulgaria is re-liberated, and the front in Romania begins as people. So Bucharest is like right here, and you can like sail straight into it. So that's what they do. Bucharest is captured, and its important part of Romania is as well, but Romania continues to fight. Ultimately, though, they do lose, and the entire place is captured. Hungary is moved upon, and from the south side, from every corner, they are advanced on and ultimately captured, as well as Slovakia. An important front in Austria is formed where the purple team is eventually halted, as well as. So the purple team continues to make advancements, as well as the blue team, and they're gonna come to an agreement. So here's what's gonna happen. Blue team is, of course, gonna get all of France back, as well as all of Italy, but as a result, purple team will be able to keep Romania. They also get Austria. So, blue team also, of course, must give up their land here, of which they do. But purple team is looking pretty good. They got more land when they came into here. They survived their first interaction with the purple team, and even better, all of Central Africa wants to join in on the fun. So it's grown quite a bit as Namibia, as well as Kenya and Madagascar join in. So purple team, or just Africa, is now probably the most powerful state maybe in the world. And so yeah,